shooting star. The engines roar, the tires scream. Fast as lightning, it's a dream. Speed and drama every turn on NFR. The rubber burns, feel the thrill of every bend, where the champions transcend. Tracks driving far, where the races never end, and that only friend. Fernando calls the play on NFR every race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks driving far, where the races never end, and that only friend. Now Fernando calls the play on NFR at race day. Commentary sharp and loud, hyping up the roaring crowd. Feel the power at NFR, burning tracks, driving far, where the races never end. Watch and see. Speed demons burning up at SKR, the league we love. Sunday at 6, engines flare up, adrenaline shove. Tight turns, the smell of gas, tires screeching loud. Thrill on the track, every driver make the crowd proud. Racers gunning for the top, no room for any slack. Pit stop strategies, teams got each other's backs. One wrong move, dreams could crash, a season turn to dust. Victory tastes sweeter when the stakes are a must. Rev up, SKR brings the drama. Highs and lows, no place for the comma. Checker flag wave, dreams come alive. Sunday at 6, see the legends thrive. Dashes, wheel-to-wheel clashes, cold sweat under helmets, pressure till it smashes. Race by race unfolding like a thriller on screen. F1 kings and queens chase that victory sheen. Rivalries ignite, sparking flames on asphalt, pushing limits, no regret, not a single halt. Missteps and miracles, heartbeat sequence speed. SKR battles fused with passion and greed. Rev up, SKR brings the drama. Highs and lows, no place for the comma. Checker flag wave, dreams come alive. Sunday at 6, see the legends thrive. Rev up, SKR brings the drama. Highs and lows, no place for the comma. Checker flag wave, dreams come alive. Sunday at 6, see the legends thrive.
Gather round mates for a tale that's a laugh about a racer named Jack took an F1 path. Aussie lad with guts, but he spun that ride, crashed his dreams, now he's off to the side. Jack Gold Coast born with speed in his heart. Dad's a legend, gave him racing from the start. F4, F3, tearing up the scene. F2 king, living out his dream. Alpine shouted, Jack, you're our man. Gave gave him Ocon seat, thought he'd lead the plan. But 25 roaring like a Roo gone wild. Jack's F1 hopes got wrecked in exile. Suzuka turn 1, pushing 8 and 5. Slammed that wall, car barely survived. Team radio buzz, Jack, you still there? He's stumbling out, dust in his hair. Oh, Jack ain't coming back, he's done, oi, mate. Crashed that car, sealed his F1 fate. 0 points, left skid marks on the track. Frank goes in, and Jack ain't coming back. Miami Grand Prix thought he'd make a mark. Turn 1, lap 1 sent Liam Lawson to the dark. Penalty stacked his license near shot. Speeding in the pits, fines hit the lot. Alpine's Cash took a hit from a spree. Boss Solly Oak said, Jack, you're killing me. Franco Colapinto with bucks and a smile. Snagged Jack's seat, sent him back in exile. Fans online are cackling, saying Jack's a bust. 6 races, no points made, you're eating dust. Oh, Jack ain't coming back, he's done, oi, mate. Crashed that car, sealed his F1 fate. 0 points, left skid marks on the track. Frank goes in, and Jack ain't coming back. Jack swore he'd push like a dingo on fire, but his car's in scraps and his dreams retired. Back to reserve, just a spare in the shed. F1 chewed him up, left his hopes for dead. Jack with a grin and a cheer. Your F1 run was a wild outback steer. Aussie battler, you gave it a crack, but them crashes prove Jack ain't coming back. Oi, mate. Oh, Jack ain't coming back, he's done, oi, mate. Crashed that car, sealed his F1 fate. 0 points, left skid marks on the track. Frank goes in, and Jack ain't coming back.
Under neon lights and engine screams, she's the guardian of our speed-filled dreams. With skull and flight and alien on the chase, she's the calm in the storm, our guiding grace. Andre by her side, loyal and strong, their love's been racing all along. But it's the brotherhood she holds so near, with every lap she makes it clear. Oh, Death Queen, heart of the grid, with every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream. Oh, Death Queen, in shadows and gleam, you are the queen of our sim racing team. Trophies shine, but not like her pride, watching Skull and Andre glide. She's there in silence, she's there in roar, in every circuit, every lore. From midnight spins to dawn's first light, she's always there holding us tight. No crash too deep, no curve too wide, with her in spirit, we rise, we ride. Oh, Death Queen, heart of the grid, with every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream. Oh, Death Queen, in shadows and gleam, you are the queen of our sim racing team. every F1 storm we wore. Holding the line, fierce and unseen, forever our monarch, our death queen. Whoa, death queen, heart of the grid. With every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream. Oh, death queen, in shadows and gleam, you are the queen of our sim racing team. Yeah, oh, death queen, you are the queen of our sim racing team. Max the Maverick.
He rolls to the grid, eye sharp as a blade. A storm in the cockpit, never afraid. Teammates tremble, they can't keep pace. Max takes the wheel, owns every race. From car to crown, he carved his way. A predator born to slay the day. The records fall, the doubters fade. A legend's forged, the price is paid.
Max Verstappen, king of the fight, burning the track in the dead of night. Outruns the pack, leaves them behind. Fastest heart with a mastermind. Not the quickest car, but he still shines. Bends the rules, rewrites the lines. Max Verstappen, hear the roar. The champ who always begs for more.
Are born, they tried their best, but Max just laughs, aces the test. He dances through corners, a devil's art. Tears up the field, rips it apart. Red Bull's wings, they used to soar. Now it's Max who evens the score. The car's not prime, the rivals grin, but he still finds a way to win.
Max Verstappen, king of the fight, burning the track in the dead of night. Outruns the pack, leaves them behind. Fastest heart with a mastermind. Not the quickest car, but he still shines. Bends the rules, rewrites the lines. Max Verstappen, hear the roar. The champ who always begs for more. Monaco streets, Silverstone rain. He turns the chaos into his gain. A lion's soul, a warrior's creed. Speed's his drug, it's all he needs. They build the walls, he breaks them down. Three-time king still wears the crown. Max Verstappen, king of the fight, burning the track in the dead of night. Outruns the pack, leaves them behind. Fastest heart with the mastermind. Not the quickest car, but he still shines. Bends the rules, rewrites the lines. Max Verstappen, hear the roar. The champ who always begs for more. So raise the flag, let the anthem play. Max the Maverick rules the day. Through grit and guile, he's here to stay. A racing god in every way.
Well, gather round, folks, let me spin you a tale about a race car driver, George Russell by name. He's quick on the track, but don't get too excited, cause when it comes to greatness, well, he's not quite knighted. He's good, but not that great. Oh George, he's got the speed, but not the fake. Oh oh George. He looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. He's got the helmet, he's got the car, but when it comes to win, he's not quite up to par. He's got the look like Woody with a cowboy hat, but when he's in the pit, you'll see him shed a tear stack. Now don't get me wrong, he's got some skill, but when you're talking about the best, he's not in that mill. He'll race you hard, give you quite the fright, but in the end, he's more known for his tears at night. He's good, but not that great, oh George. He's got the speed, but not the fate, oh George. He looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. So here's to George, with his heart on his sleeve. In the world of Formula One, he's got a lot to achieve. He might not be the champ, but he sure is fun. So let's give a cheer for George, our Woody on the run. He's good, but not that great, oh George. He's got the speed, but not the fate, oh George. He looks like Woody from Toy Story, that's no lie. And when the race goes wrong, oh how that boy can cry. So here's to George, with his heart on his sleeve. In the world of Formula One, he's got a lot to achieve. He might not be the champ, but he sure is fun. So let's give a cheer for George, our Woody on the run.
In the quiet lanes of Silverstone town, folks are whispering about a boy falling down. Got a seat from his daddy, money's the king. Driving that Williams ain't like riding free. Tires spin, engines roar, but the podium's far. His wheels hit the gravel, now there's damage to the car. Got the world at his feet, yet he fumbles the lead. His dreams race away, but he's not in the speed. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name that can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Now he's got his own team with a famous name. Aston Martin's the brand, but it's still the same shame. Every corner, every turn, the crashes unfold. Dreams wrapped in carbon fiber, truth left untold. Paddock folks shake their heads with a sigh as the green car spins and the hopes run dry. No matter the funds, it's a harsh game of pain. $1 million toys can't shelter the rain. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name that can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Daddy's money, daddy's ride, crashing dreams, nowhere to hide. Bought him a name that can't buy a skill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill. Lance keeps trying, but the track's all uphill.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. I think that's one of the quickest turnarounds we've ever had to do from in real life race to SKR. Race finished just a few minutes ago, and well, seems like we're reliving things. Of course, rain was very much involved in today's race earlier on, and from the looks of qualifying, we're going to have more of that. Liza coming in and saying, well. I suppose the 3 wells are for a safety car and the 4 are for rain. Hopefully tonight we don't get both. Of course, that's what happened this afternoon in real life race. Had rain, dry, back to rain. We had safety cars, virtual safety cars. The only thing we were short of was a red flag. Also a bit of a controversial penalty on one of those safety car restarts. Handed Lando Norris a victory in his home Grand Prix. What could have been Oscar Piastri's Sunday didn't work out that way for him tonight. But what's going to happen tonight? What's going to happen with the weather? Is this just going to be isolated to qualifying? Of course, the drivers will have a good idea of what the weather is going to be doing in the race. Of course, if they're looking at a dry race, they'll be setting up that car for the dry. If they're looking at more of this, they would have set up the car for the wet. So if that car is set up for the dry, the car's not going to feel too ideal out there. They're going to be facing similar situation to Max Verstappen earlier on. Of course, they set up that car for a very quick qualifying session, and of course on a dry track that car could have worked very well, but in the rain it was exactly the opposite of the setup they would have wanted. Almost all 20 drivers, 19 showing up for the night. Yellow flag in sector 3, no lap times just yet. Going through the field, we have Smurf, we have Nismo, Skull, Sensor, Tion, Top Gun, Jonas, Virus. Also have Pantry Star, Levy, Dixie Killer, Glitch, Ulbrich, Spikes, Harsh Cartoon, Wheeze, Captain Slow, Rhaegar, and Andre. Why is it saying W. Hulkenberg, Nico Hulkenberg? Took a while, but eventually got it done, and what a time to do it. Just before that team becomes Audi, becomes the oldest first time podium finisher. I think it's since, is it 1970? Well, this is way before I'm born, so I'm probably wrong, but I think it's since 1976. No lap times just yet. Tricky conditions. Just let me know in the comment section, can you hear everything fine? Can you see everything fine? Of course, this was a quick switch around from watching the race to getting into the comms box, so hopefully everything's working as it should be. Didn't take the usual prep time. I was watching the podium celebrations. Tion, fastest man on circuit so far, 142.2. Next best, Jonas, 142.2. Look at that, crazy conditions, different setups, different drivers, almost identical lap times. Then Wheeze, a little further behind, 43.5. Andre, 44.9. Lap times very far spread apart for the time being. It's early days in the session. It's early days in the session, and the track will, well, depending on the conditions, we don't know, the track could get wetter. But usually in these conditions, as the session goes on, drivers get braver, drivers get more confident, and even if the track isn't getting any better, the lap times still come down. So the drivers just start leaning in a little more. Last thing you want to do is crash out in qualifying. Attempting to do your first run means you're going to be starting from the back of the field for a very, very busy field. 19 drivers in the field. And who knows, we might still get driver 20 squeezing in before the race. Caution in sector 2. Tian, the fastest man, with a 1:42.2. Then Jonas, another 42.2. Nothing in it between the top two. Like I said, a little further back, 43.5. That's a little bit more than a little further back. Let's have a look at the tyres, if everybody's doing the same thing or if anyone's doing anything interesting. Everybody on the wet compound. Let's ride on board with one of these drivers. Let's look for a driver who's driving in speed. Not on an outlap, not on an in-lap. This is Glitch starting a lap. Of course, things happen a little differently in qualifying when you see conditions like this. What a lot of drivers will do is just put multiple laps of fuel in the car, go out and do multiple laps, and you'll see those laps coming down as they go on. And later on in the session, you might get that one lap pace, that fuel for just the one lap. For the time being, it's all about benchmarks, it's all about getting those laps on board, and already the first man. But he is sitting in the pits, he hasn't come out of the pits, but interestingly he has fitted intermediates to his car. Ulrich, first driver to put on a set of intermediates, but he has not yet left the safety of the pits. We'll keep our eyes on that car when he does. Remain the same, 42.2, 42.2, no one's improved on that. Improvement has come from the driver now in P3. That's Levy, and as I'm about to mention Levy's P3, it disappears into a P4 because Jonas 40.8, Tian 40.8, and Weeze 41.8. How quickly these lap times change, get used to it. It's going to be difficult to keep track of everybody, these lap times. So many drivers out on track. In fact, look at that, 19 drivers in the field. All 19 drivers currently out on the circuit. That's a busy, busy race circuit. Good evening to everybody in the chat. Thought things might be quiet around here for the beginning of the stream, because everyone would still be watching the celebrations of the British Grand Prix, but there were a few of you already waiting when I started the stream. Thank you very much for everybody that's here. We see Anita here, Death Queen is here, Visor is here. A lot of the familiar names. Of course, Ubuntu. At the front of the field, 40.8, 40.8, Jonas and Tian. Nothing separating the two. We got Weeze in P3, 41.8. And look at the driver in P4. This is the driver that last season, in season 11, both season 11s, that's season 11 of SKR and season 11 of SAFRL, as well as that season 2 of League v League. This is a driver who was consistently getting better, consistently getting faster. finding his way higher and higher up the field with every single qualifying session, but the beginning of season 12 for both of these leagues just hasn't gone his way. He'll be hoping to turn things around tonight at the British Grand Prix, round 3. Of course, get used to seeing the circuit because you're going to be seeing it again on Tuesday night. SAFRL coming to Silverstone, 8 PM on Tuesday. Jonas with the quickest time, 40.8. Tian also with a 40.8. Nothing between those two. He's P3. It's a rather distant P3, 41.8. Death Queen saying that Skull just needs to practice. He's been lazy. Well. Driver starts getting a little quick. It all goes to his head. Jonas goes quicker, 40.3. That's the quickest we've seen so far. Previously a 40.8. That means he's found half a second. Is the track getting better, or are the cars getting lighter, or are the drivers getting braver? Well, Ulrich, 40.5, he's just 1 second fastest on a set of intermediates, and I think that might be your answer. The track has just crossed over to intermediates, and pretty much all of these lap times are going to be invalid. Get back into the pits, put on a set of green tyres, and go do all the work again. Rees has put on a set of inters, but he remains in the pits. We're looking for a driver on inters that is actually out on track. Here is one. This is Harsh Cartoon on a set of intermediate tyres. Should get the first safe feel. Let's see how he looks through the corners. Is the car squirming around, or does the track look intermediate ready? I don't see any standing water. Rain is still falling quite heavily. I haven't really seen an indication of standing water. Of course, if you leave that final run on the intermediates for a little too late and you make some sort of mistake, it could be the end of your session. I think everybody who puts on a set of inters is going to make some sort of an improvement, and if you're the driver who doesn't, well, you're going to the rear of the field and giving yourself a difficult evening. Man out on track is Sultian, and he's still on a set of blue tyres, but he's just come into the pits. Jonas still on blue tyres, but he sits in the pits. This is Ulrich, third fastest man, 40.5. He's done that on a set of intermediates. His teammate 9/10 of a second slower than Ulrich. He's on the blue tyre, so some very different strategies. You can now start to see a pretty even split between the drivers on wets, the drivers on inters. This is the McLaren of Andre, one of two McLarens here tonight, the other one down in P17, Top Gun. Andre in P7, of course. McLaren earlier this afternoon taking a 1-2. Let me know, I did put a poll up earlier. How do you feel about the penalty? The penalty that went the way of Oscar Piastri. Do you think that was a penalty? The options are just simply yes or no. So let me know what you thought, and we'll close that poll just before the end of the race. As we go to a Selva, Has anyone, how many of you watched the race this afternoon? Did you see what Sauber did? Did you see what Nico Hulkenberg did? Finally a podium. A man who seems like he's been there forever. Of course, you can't do it anymore today because the Le Mans 24-hour takes place the same day as a Formula One Grand Prix, and they do that on purpose so the F1 drivers don't go over to Le Mans. But the last time you could do that, Nico Hulkenberg visited the Le Mans 24-hour in between two Grand Prix weekends and won that Le Mans 24-hour. Definitely a very, very talented driver, just never really had the right car. Still doesn't have the right car, but managed to do it in a Sauber. Fantastic job. And Aston Martin, of course, Lance Stroll looked like he might pick up a podium for a very long time tonight. Was in P3, and Hulkenberg took that position for the longest time. Looked like Lewis Hamilton might take that podium away. But the Sauber driver did fend it off at the end. Look at all the weaving, look at the cars on the grass. That's not where you want to be in the rain. You want to be off the grass, nowhere near the grass. Tyres are going to be slippery enough. You don't need to be adding any blades of grass to them. Look at that lap from Andre, 38.4. That's going to put him up into P2, and these lap times are going to change in a big, big way. Wees, 36.7. Now, where are the quicker drivers? Where are the drivers that were at the top of the field? He's 36.7, 38.4 for Andre, Pantry Star P3, 38.5, Sensenfeld 38.4. Still time remaining in the session. We've got a caution in Sector 2, so I can't tell you how much time. We still have a caution in Sector 2. Captain Slow, P6, Nismo just ahead of him, P5. I said we still have time. We don't have time. Checkered flag has fallen. Checkered flag has fallen. This is Jonas. It's one of the drivers we know has time in him. The driver that set the fastest lap in round one. Definitely a driver with pace. But it's all about getting that lap time together. And sometimes you leave yourself one lap at the end. It's just not enough. Who's still out on track? Andre's still in P2. Oh, how he would love things to finish this way. This is sensible, but has he backed off? No, he hasn't backed off. He goes to the second row. P3, very nicely done. I think the last driver to finish, the last driver to get over the line on these inters, and have the best opportunity. Nismo comes into the pits, no improvement for him. This is Captain Slow. Who else is out on track? Levy is out on track. No, he's not. He's on the grass. Spikes, is he out on track? Yes, he is. He's towards the end of his lap. Is he going to find an improvement? He squirms around looking for the traction. He's about to go over the line, and what an improvement it is. Up into P3, front in the second row. I think we've got one more driver out on track. It's the Ferrari of Captain Slow, and there we go over the line. Does find an improvement. Slots in just behind his teammate. Ferrari's P8 and 9. Fantastic qualifying session. With the track that was improving right towards the end. Luckily this time around we do get the results. Jonas, he's going to take pole position, Wheeze P2, then Spikes and Glitch, Andre and Sensor, Ulrich and Pantry Star. We've got Captain Slow and Nismo making up the top 10. Outside the top 10 with a bit of work to do, Virus P11, then we've got Dion P12 starting out of position, then Harsh Cartoon 13, Levy 14, Rhaegar 15, Skull 16, Smurf 17, Top Gun 18, and Dixie Killer going from the rear of the field in P19. Things couldn't look more different in the race. Don't see any real clouds above. Things look pretty clear. I think the drivers will be relieved with that. Will the conditions stay that way? We are indeed in Britain. The pit lane is empty because all the cars are to the right hand side of your screen. Obviously everybody doing their final preparations for the race. It's your final preparations, and it's also your first roll of the dice. Your first mistake in the race could be right here on strategy, even before you start the formation lap. That did clear up real fast. You know, the England weather can be tricky. It's not so long ago England was going through a heat wave. Well, they were going through an English heat wave. It's not quite what South Africans would expect from a heat wave, but a heat wave nonetheless. But the heat wave seemed to leave just in time for the F1 Grand Prix, because today there was definitely no heat wave. Must be some of the bravest F1 fans in the world though. Those Silverstone fans going to the track year after year, and lots of those times they're going to get soaked. They're going to watch the entirety of that race in the rain. But of course, if the mood is right, I once attended the Kyalami 9 hour. The last hour and a half of that race was in the rain. And well, we didn't get out of the rain, and there was no raincoats. We were just that happy. It's all about the mood. Was anyone here in the chat at that inaugural Kyalami 9 hour? I think that was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It was a fantastic event, fantastic race. Fortunately, it fell off the calendar because of a little something that took place in 2020. A little something. Get underway for the formation lap. Go through that order one more time for you. Jonas is going to go from P1, Wheeze from P2, we've got Spikes P3, Glitch P4, Andre looked like he was starting from the front row for a while. He's been pushed down to P5, but a good starting position nonetheless. Sensor P6, Ulrich P7, then the two Ferraris 8 and 9. That's Pantry Star and Captain Slow. Still a name I wouldn't want to have as a racing driver. Nismo in P10, then you've got Virus P11. But Tion starting very much out of position. P12, going to have to keep our eyes on that Selva because I'm sure he's going to be coming through the field. Harsh Cartoon, one of the favourites, at least in the comment section. Then we've got Levy in P14, also a very quick driver starting out of position. We got Rhaegar, one of those drivers I don't know enough about. We'll build up our knowledge on him as time goes on. Skull, another quick driver starting out of position. as is the case for Smurf in 17, Top Gun in 18. So many quick drivers in this field. But sometimes when the competition is this strong, you just need an off day. You just need to be half a second off your best. And it could be the difference between the midfield and the back of the field. Liza prediction, first prediction of the day coming through. Hosh Cartoon in the top 10. Or, I don't know, he just said or. There's nothing after that. Of course, now we're going to wait for all the cars to line up on the grid. Once everybody takes up their positions, we will get the 5 red lights. They'll come on one after the other. Once there's 5 of them, there'll be a pause, and when they go off, we'll be underway. Jonas versus Wheeze, and maybe even Spikes will get involved. Jonas, Wheeze, Spikes, Glitch, everybody holding station into turn 1, out of turn 1, a clean and steady start to the race. A few positions up and down, but that's more in the midfield. Everyone in the top 4 holding position. Ulrich up 1 position to P5, Sensor loses a position down to P6. Andre P7, he started a little higher than that. I think he started in P5. He's actually just made a position back to P6. There we go, up the inside of a Williams. And Levy becomes the first to pick up a penalty. And well, it's a penalty we know well. It's a penalty we saw earlier this afternoon, a 10-second penalty for Levy. Some will say that's a little rough. It's even more rough when it happens on lap 1. Jonas leads the way, Wheeze in P2, then Spikes, then Ulrich. Fantastic start to the race for Aston Martin. If they were able to hold on to this sort of a result, what an evening it would be. Of course, this is just lap 1. Silverstone can be a tricky circuit. It can be a circuit of lots of penalties. Doesn't seem that way. Really wide racing circuit, but somehow drivers will still test the limits. And if it's anything like we saw earlier this afternoon, then stoppages in the race are very likely. Push, Ulrich, push. That's the message coming out of the comment section. Support for the Aston Martin drivers, Wheeze and Jonas, they're still out front. That is expected. They've been dominating this championship. Dominating over on a Sunday, dominating over on a Tuesday. Just asserting that dominance wherever they go. That's why when you find yourself in a position where you're able to keep up with them, well, it makes it that much more special. Spikes within 7/10, he's still got DRS. So crucial to stay within that DRS, because then it just means that those extremely fast drivers ahead of you, well, they're towing you along, giving you a free tow. Wheeze goes into the lead, goes ahead of Jonas. And every time those two trade places, Spikes is going to be saying, thank you, continue, I want more of this. It just keeps him in the battle. Wheeze sets the fastest lap for the race. Despite those drivers trading places, rubbing tyres, still quicker than anyone else in the field. Shows the dominance of the top 2. Looking at one of these Salvas. What a race it was for Salva earlier today. Started off so badly with Gabriel Bortoleto. I don't think anyone at Salva could have imagined the result they got at the end. In fact, I was very quiet in the comments prior to the race starting, and that's because I was looking for some stats. I found some. Here's a weird one. Here's a weird one for all of you. So, points. Since the Spanish Grand Prix, Nico Hülkenberg, 51. Max Verstappen, 29. He's still the quickest driver out front, and he's actually pulling away now from Jonas. 1.3 seconds is that gap. Means he's broken DRS. Apologies to the viewers who haven't brought up the tyre screen just yet. There we go, there's the tyre screen for all of you to see. We have one driver that's already explained his tremendous speed at the start of the race. He's on the soft compound, then lots of drivers on the medium compound. Just 4 drivers in the field going for the hard. One of those drivers, Andre. Let's put a little bit more context into his race start. Of course, he started in P5. We saw him drop all the way down to P7. Since then, he has made up a position, gone back up into P6. Just one position behind where he started, but he is on the hard tyre. So all of those cars around him, they are going to have to pit before him. Their tyres will go off before his. And when this track becomes hard-only territory, well, it should be advantage McLaren. This is a man I said we were going to need to watch. Started out of position, started all the way down in P12. Said he's going to be looking to make up positions in a hurry, but I think he's got a broken wing. Yeah, he does. He's missing his left-hand end plate. Just made his way into the points, but now he's making his way into the pits. And whatever progress he made, it's time to do it all over again. Fantastic driving here between the RB and the Alpine, going side by side briefly. Harsh Cartoon, Smurf, Dixie Killer, all in this battle. Hopefully those two Alpines don't get tangled. Looked like they were going to get tangled. Because you don't want to be driving into other drivers in any race, real life or sim race. And just like in real life, if you do run into anyone, the last person you want to run into is your teammate. Number 1 rule, you want to beat your teammate. Second rule, don't ever hit your teammate. This is Skull in the Williams at the rear of the field. He's gone for the same strategy as Andre, it seems. Gone for the hard tyre. He is at the rear of the field, and he's going to be hoping for something from the racing guards, either in the form of weather or either in the form of something yellow. Because he's going to need something special. He's not going to be able to rely on his speed alone and overtaking ability, because there are 18 other very quick drivers in this field. Wee's out front with a 2-second gap. So that means Jonas has got no DRS to help him stay with Weeze. But Spikes, he's got lots and lots of DRS. He's putting pressure on Jonas now to battle for P2. Glitch in P4, he's 4.6 seconds adrift from this battle that you're watching right here. Ulrich in P5, he's still on that set of softs. How he would love something, well, how he would love a safety car at this stage of the race. Since he could come in, get rid of those tyres, have a free pit stop. The way things are going, everybody's running a really good race. Means he's going to have to come in very shortly. Surely there's not much more life on those soft tyres, and when they do go, it's going to fall through this field very quickly. Looking at the Red Bull, has been overtaken. Spikes has gone up into P2. Jonas down into P3. Does that Red Bull have some sort of damage? Does not appear to be the case, has the entirety of his front wing attached. But for the first stint of the race, he led. Then Weeze took the lead, but he was very much able to stay with the leader. Then he lost some pace, down to a 2-second gap, and now he's lost second place. Seems to be going backwards a little bit. Only the driver will know why. We're looking at Pantry Star in P5. He's looking at the back of Ulrich. Ulrich on a set of soft tyres. Those soft tyres should be starting to go off. And he's starting to get a queue forming behind him. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars, and even 6. Virus could be joining the back of that party very, very soon. When Ulrich come into the pits, let's ride on board. As I say ride on board, then there we go, ride on board. He goes past the pits one more time. So this queue will continue to form. And Virus will be loving it. He'll see that queue and he'll be thinking, whoever's out there in front, stay out one lap later, at least till I can catch up. Quite a few of you watching. I don't know what the viewership would be like with the race being so soon after the British Grand Prix, so good to have you all here. This was an interesting qualifying session. We had wet conditions, wet weather tyres, and then right towards the end of qualifying the track went intermediate and started improving quite dramatically. Means we saw some interesting names lower down the order as well as higher up the order so far in the race, with the exception of 2 penalties, a 10-second and 3-second penalty. Things have been pretty smooth sailing. Of course, if you're enjoying the race, remember to leave a like on the video. Always helps us out. Make sure more people get to see the races, more people get introduced to our leagues. That's what we do here. We still out front, 3.3 seconds is the gap to Spikes. That gap continuing to grow. The rest of the field would require something to slow Weeze down for Weeze to make an incident, and Weeze isn't really, well, he's not really the driver to suddenly make an incident. Ulrich in P4, somehow still managing those soft tyres. I thought they would have gone off by now, but he's still in P4. He's not making up any ground on the top 3. That gap continues to extend, so 6.7 seconds between P3 and 4. Queue behind him continues getting longer, and he continues being at the head of it. Now down to McLaren yet again. Remember, started in P5, dropped down to P7, regained a position back up into P6. We mentioned earlier, started on the hard tyre, doing something a little different to everyone around him. And now you can see some of those cars around him starting to come into the pits. Andre is going to be one of those last cars to pit because he started on the hard tyre. Of course, what that means is he goes deeper into the race. What it also means is if everything runs smoothly, he's going to have the faster tyre in the second stint of the race. So if he's able to keep up with these guys now, well, theoretically he should be faster than them in the second stint. Stat for you about the British Grand Prix. The last one was Max Verstappen and Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, since the Spanish Grand Prix, Nico Hulkenberg scoring more points than Max Verstappen. That's 31 to 29. What an insane stat. Another stat. The only 2 times Lewis Hamilton missed out on a podium in Silverstone. Well, it was today, in 2025, and all the way back in 2013. How's that for a stat? We still out front, the lead now 3.7 seconds. Towards the rear of the field, just not having his day, just not his season so far. When will his season start? Driver with so much potential, a very quick driver, and now we don't know what just happened there, but that seems to be an internet connection for a moment. Looks like Skull had lost everything. Now you can see the car stabilizes very quickly. That's what it looks like when you have an internet drop from a spectator point of view. Can give the commentator a bit of a heart attack. We're still the leader, Spike still P2, and look at that gap has actually come down. Wonder if Wee's made some sort of a mistake, or if Spikes has just found some serious pace. Gap down to 1.4 seconds. Or if those mediums now just starting to fall off, depending on how you managed your mediums. Your mediums might have an extra lap of life in them. That might be what's happening at the front. Spike's still closing that gap, 1.4 seconds. There goes Jonas, he leaves the pits. In so many of these races, we do get safety cars. A lot of the drivers, they anticipate these safety cars and they work them into their strategies. When those safety cars do not arrive, well, you have to make changes on the move. There's a good view of a McLaren pit stop, stop, go. Nothing in it in modern Formula 1. Anything over 2 seconds is considered, well, anything over 3 seconds is considered a bad pit stop. Of course, back in the 90s, it was pretty difficult to determine what a good pit stop was, because of course it involved refueling. Some cars would start the race lighter, some cars would start the race heavier, and the pit stop really had more to do with how much time you had to sit there and refuel more than the tyres. Of course, refueling no longer a part of Formula 1. And we join Skull just in time to watch him have a spin. It's facing the wrong way. Wants to get that car turned around. Of course, if you face the wrong direction for a little too long, you will get disqualified from the event. Here we go, he is back on the move, a little bit of grass on the tyres. But the race just not going the way of the Williams driver. just like the 1977 world champion James Hunt. Skull, the driver who once showed so much promise, seems to be falling into the clutches of alcohol. Death Queen, don't let this boy drink. Hopefully that's the only traits he picks up from James Hunt, because, well, he had a few odd ones. Look at the leader, look at the leader. We were talking about Skull at the rear of the field, but look who's at the front of the field. Andre out front. Remember, he was one of the 4 drivers to start this race on the hard tyre. You can see 12 laps on those hard tyres. Smurf on the same strategy, 12 laps on the hards. He's in P3. Same story for Captain Slow in P6. But so far, so good for Andre. Called the right strategy. He'll just be hoping for consistent lap times until it's time for him to visit the pits as well. This is the man in P2, man who's dominated the race up until now. Did not pick up the victory in round 1, did not pick up the victory in round 2. This time round, it's going to change things. Andre still out front, 12.8 seconds is the gap. 12.7, keep your eyes on that gap. Just the moment that gap starts coming down heavily, it means that Andre's tyres have probably fallen off. We have gone past halfway distance, so I expect that McLaren to come in pretty soon. Smurf picks up a 3-second penalty a while ago. I said there was just the 2 penalties on our screen, but that has changed. 5 penalties now allocated to drivers. Let's have a look at those penalties. 3 seconds apiece for Smurf, Rhaegar, Levy and Dixie Killer. And then that 10-second penalty that we saw earlier on for Nismo, that was on lap 1. Of course, when he comes into the pits, he'll be able to serve that penalty. Another 10-second penalty, this time for Smurf. Of course, these 10-second penalties can be served at your next pit stop. If you don't have a next pit stop, they'll be added on to your race time. But track infringements, well, they're going to stay with you till the end of the race. Andre on lap 15 of 26 continues to lead this race. The gap is coming down. The gap now 11 point, well, no longer 11.1. It's almost in the 10s. Andre will know the strategy. He'll know the pit window. He'll know, is it this lap? Is it lap 16, 17? He'll have the number in his head and he'll be counting down the laps. He'll be looking at that gap, seeing it come down, pushing all the while. It's quite a helpless feeling when you're giving the car absolutely everything you've got. You feel like you're flying, you're on your absolute edge. You look up at the time and that driver is just nearing ever closer, a 10th at a time, and there's nothing you can do. Weiss continues his pursuit in P2, and Jonas, well, he's not out of this either. He's in P3, just 2.2 seconds adrift from the Mercedes. Weiser making a prediction here. He hasn't attached the prediction to a driver. I'm going to assume you're talking about Andre extending the hard tyre to go from a hard to a soft. Would be an interesting situation. We saw a driver earlier in the race going on the soft tyre He took that tyre for 8 or 9 laps. So it is definitely within the realms of possibility. But will he take the risk? Because if that soft tyre does fall in the last lap or 2 of the race, it might be a sitting duck. Down the pit lane goes Andre, your race leader. Gets himself slowed down in time. And now he'll just be hoping for a good pit stop. Of course, not much you can do in the game. All you can do is make sure you turn in just on time. And now he'll sit there. Even when you're on the exit of the pit lane, the most frustrating thing is hearing your opponents fly by. Well, you have to stick to that speed limit. Of course, there was a time in F1, there was no speed limit in the pits, believe it or not. There was a time, it wasn't just a higher speed limit, there was no speed limit in the pits. Imagine that in a 2025 scenario, with the likes of Max and George and Lando, and the way they perform wheel-to-wheel action. 2.8 seconds is the gap out front. Jonas the man in P2. Then we've got the pair of Aston Martins again. Spikes P3, Ulrich P4. Glitch in P5, Pantry Star P6. Andre was your leader. He has now settled in P7. He has not extended the tyres and taken the risk to finish on the soft. He's going to go on the medium. The advantage he does have is in those final few laps, he's going to have the freshest mediums on the circuit. In fact, he's going to have the freshest tyres on the circuit. So this is Dion. This race just never really got going. No, he's such a quick driver. Got caught out in qualifying in changing conditions. Just didn't get the lap time when he needed to. Started down the order, made some progress. Then we saw him with a broken wing coming into the pits. And of course we've had no stoppages in the race to help him out. Sometimes you can rely on your pace. Maybe you're in a slower league, you can rely on your pace to bring you through the field. But when this is the field you're fighting, it can be quite difficult to come from the back. Pfizer's showing his support again for Harsh Cartoon. Harsh Cartoon apparently. Wonder if that just revs him up. Those L's start coming in, and the next thing I know, he's in the points. .3 seconds out front. Mercedes-Benz from a Red Bull, then the pair of Aston Martins, Spikes and Ulrich. Pantry Star having a strong race for Ferrari. Started further down the field. I think he started in P8. Was the lead Ferrari just ahead of Captain Slow. His teammate has had the complete opposite of a race. He's down in P17. Can confirm I missed it when it happened, but Skull has DNF'd from the race. There was no safety car triggered, so I'm going to presume that was a drive down the pit lane and a voluntary retirement. Driver in P6, and how much longer will it be? P6, not much longer, because he gets through on the inside on Pantry Star. Not long ago he was in P7, he got past Glitch, now he got past the Ferrari. Andre up into P5, and this is the benefit of having the softer and fresher compound. to everyone around you. It's just 0.4 of a second off the back of Ulrich, so 4th place looks like a real possibility. Spike's a little bit further up the road though, 14 seconds might be a step too far. But Andre in P4 doesn't want to waste any more time, doesn't want to stay behind the Aston Martin any longer than he needs to, doesn't want to make contact. Of course you want to make the overtake, of course you want to make it look good, but the last thing you want is contact, especially when you've got everything in your favour. That's a Ferrari going sideways. That was Pantry Star on the pit straight. That Ferrari's gone sideways. It's just a caution. I think the Ferrari should get going again. And there we go, it does get going again. Unfortunately, that does not trigger a safety car in the very late stages of the race. That would be disaster for anyone with a penalty next to their name. We just saw a glimpse of Pantry Star sliding off there in the background. We were focusing on another car at the time. We did get a good look at it. Unfortunately for the Ferrari driver, because one of them was out of the points, the other one was flying the Tifosi flag high. But now both Ferraris sitting outside of the points. And if things finish this way, well, they're going to be the only team without a car in the points. Wee's going quicker and quicker and quicker, 29.0, throwing down the gauntlet to everybody else. And you think I've been quick so far? Well, I've got a little more for you. The gap now up to 3.4 seconds. Spike's in P3, Andre in P4, Ulrich in P5. Andre has split those two Aston Martins. Don't know if he's going to be able to do anything about Spike's up the road. Just a 4-lap advantage on the tyres. Of course, mediums versus hards, but 15 seconds with 5 laps to go. Wouldn't only take a mistake, it would take a big off. So as far as Death Queen goes, on one side there'll be happy support, on the other side there'll be a little bit of disappointment. Even though Skull and Andre aren't teammates this time around, they very much do share a garage. Viewers on the video, just 3 likes on the video. Remember to hit the like button. It's your first visit to the channel. Remember to subscribe, and in the bio we have added the Discord links for SKR, that's the league you're watching right now, as well as SAFRL. That is a league that follows the same format as this one, except it's on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. If you'd like further information to drive in either one of these leagues, go down to that Discord link, join the Discord, speak to one of the admin. They should be able to help you out. Weeze leads the way, 3.2 seconds from Jonas. Then it's Spikes in P3. What a strong race he's had. Andre P4, still 15.2 seconds, so that gap is not coming down. Levy has left the session, but I think he's still in the race, so that's just a disconnection and not a retirement. If it were a retirement, what a time to retire. Top 3 remain the same, top 4, top 5 remain the same, top 6, Glitch, Nismo, 7, Sensor, 8, Virus, 9. Double points for Red Bull, Dion in P10, double points for Salva. This is Rhaegar in P11, just outside the points. I think I'm less disappointed when I finish in 12, 13, 14, and I finish in 11. Well, I'm just so frustrated. It's just one step away. As they'd say on Sky Sports, it's tantalizingly close. Tantalizing. What a word. Tantalizing. Only the Brits. Just Levy, another one of those drivers out of position. Just going to get confirmation. I think that car is ghosting. Yes, that was Levy that left the session. The car is ghosting. He has not returned. Fortunately, there is a rather big gap, so he shouldn't fall any further down the order. Unfortunately, it's out of the points and out of the car. He's 3.1 seconds, showing as close as the gap ever so slightly, but it's not enough. 2 laps to go. Major mistakes would have to be made for a shake-up to happen in this top 3. So we'll go a little bit further back in the field, so we can look for some late race battles. And here's a late race battle. It's an RB versus a Sauber, Glitch versus Nismo, and they're chasing an Aston Martin of Ulrich. All of those cars on very similar tyre strategies. So it's not going to come down to tyres. It's just going to come down to who's at the right part of the racetrack at the right time with 2 laps to go. Now the RB going through, Glitch losing a few positions down to P7. Nismo up into P6. Let's look for more DRS battles. Tian makes up a position, goes past the Williams up into P8. That'll be 4 points if things finish this way. The next car up the road is his teammate. But it's a 3.3 kilometer stretch, so this might be where it ends. 8th place might be the best he can produce on the night. Still a fantastic result when you think of all that happened during the race. Rhaegar awfully close, P11, but 2.5 seconds adrift from the points. Harsh Cartoon, earlier there was a prediction for him in the top 10. Fortunately for him, he's failed to do so in P12. But he has no penalties next to his name, building a bit of a reputation for staying out of the penalties column. Good reputation to have. You get that late safety car and you get the car in the right part of the race circuit. If you're a driver who doesn't usually get penalties, the podium is always a possibility. Let's go back to the front of the field because the race is coming to an end. Lap 25 of 26. 3.1 seconds is the gap. Gap will come down a tenth or 2 and then it goes back up a tenth or 2. That suggests that Wees is just managing the gap at this stage. Not taking too many risks, tapping off when he feels the need, and if he sees that gap come down at all, well, it just applies the accelerator again. In total control is the Mercedes driver. Red Bull in P2. I'm sure Red Bull would have loved to have finished in P2 earlier this afternoon, but things didn't work out that way. 25 of 26. And Wees goes over the line. 1 more to go. We're going a little later than usual this evening. That's because the race started a little later than usual this evening. Usually we get going at 6 on the dime. Today a little bit later because the British Grand Prix started really late. And then there were quite a few incidents that obviously extended the length of that race. But we managed to get things going. Just about a 15 to 20 minute delay. What an awesome qualifying session it was. And in the race, well, it's been pretty clean, really. Andre P4. How he would have loved to have just been a little closer. I would have loved one of those top 3 drivers to have a massive handful of penalties, but that's not going to be the case. He's going to be one step away from the podium, but I think he's going to celebrate that result nonetheless. Weeze out front, goes around, weaves around one more time, takes the victory, takes the checkered flag. Jonas goes over the line in P2. Spikes confirms his P3. We now wait for Andre. Where is Andre? Remember, he was 15 seconds adrift from the top 3. Has he held things together? Yes, he has. Just needs to get around the final corner, and he does. Andre finishes in P4. We now wait for the next car, Ulrich. As you can see, a lot of the drivers well spread out at the end of the race. Look at Dion making up a position, going up into P5. Still going to get a nice handful of points towards the end of the race there. Ulrich P6, Glitch P7, Sensor P8, Virus P9. And will you look at that? Visor, you did it. Harsh Cartoon, you did it. Harsh Cartoon is in the top 10. Visor, I think Harsh Cartoon deserves a few W's for that. That's the Ferrari you're riding with, Pantry Star P16. Difficult race, difficult evening. Probably be pretty happy it's over. Quick look at the podium. Driver takes his phone up there for a selfie. Well, driver of the day goes to Dion. Then fastest lap went to Pantry Star. Of course, your race winner was Weeze. Most overtakes went to Smurf. And the cleanest driver on the night, rated by the game, Pantry Star. So there are your results. Weeze takes the victory, Jonas P2, then Spikes P3. Brilliant drive by Andre to finish in P4. Then we got Tian in P5. Brilliant comeback at the end. He started in P12. Ulrich P6. Got Glitch P7, Sensor P8, Virus P9, and Harsh Cartoon stealing a point at the very end. Missing out, Nismo P11, Rhaegar P12, Captain Slow 13, Top Gun 14, Smurf 15, Pantry Star 16, Dixie Killer 17, Lebby 18, and the one retirement, Skull. Well, folks, that's the end of the race. I'm going to have a quick look in the cool down room. I think we might have some people in the cool down room. I didn't want to bug them in the race because if something went wrong, well, I'd get blamed. So let's just see if they're still there. Let's see if we can bring them in. Of course, if anybody else wants to join the cool down room, now is your time to jump in. I'm not going to bring them to the comms box. I'm just going to jump into the cool down room myself. Hey, let's see who is in here. I should be with Weeze. I should be with Big T. Can you guys hear me? Big T? Guys need to just give me a second. I need to now change my mic. Fantastic. There we go. I didn't need to change my mic. I've just got 2 mics apparently. So we've got Big T, we've got Weeze, we've got Spikes, we've got Andre. Busy cool down room. Guys, can you hear me? For some reason I can't. There we go. Now I can hear them. Vaz, can you say something? I want to see if I can hear you.
I'll
Hello.
say something.
There
I've
we
got the
go.
biggest mouth, so I'll say something.
There we go. It's starting to come through. So who's going to start? We'll start with Andre. Started in what was it? Started in P5. Went down to P7 at the start of the race. And at one stage, you led the race. P4. How was your race? It was a little bit more eventful than starting P5, finishing P4.
Yeah, it was nice. The alter strategy worked lucky for me. I had to deal with some traffic because I stayed out actually a lap longer than I was supposed to. I think if I put it on lap 15, I would have cleared Ulrich and we was it Pantry and someone else. So yeah, but I'm happy with P4. I'm still getting used to the new game, so anything in the points is a good race.
Next one up was the Aston Martin. I believe that was Spikes. We've got Spikes here. Spikes,
Yep,
tell us about your race. You were there in the opening stint, P3, and then obviously we started to pull off at the front, but you managed to take P2 and you managed your pace pretty well from there.
Yeah, the pace was good on the mediums. I managed to get past Malume and actually made a gap from Malume. So he put it a lap earlier than me, and I put it a lap after him onto the hards. And as we came, as I came out from the pits, what's his name?
Smurf.
Smurfs. He was in the way basically, so he tried to block me, and it gave Malume a gap to pass. So Malume passed Smurf, and I struggled to get past him. By the time I got past Smurf, I was like already almost 2 seconds behind Malume. So I just kept that gap 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds. Some stage it was 1.8, but I just couldn't catch him. But it was a good race.
Who's next up? Big T. You had an interesting race. Of course, not quite sure what happened in qualifying. I'm going to make the assumption that you got caught out when the track was improving and you didn't have an optimal final run because, of course, you started outside the top 10. And then,
No,
no, you can go
yeah.
on.
No, I moved out the way when we started his lap. And then when I came back on track after moving out the way, it said invalidated lap and invalidated next lap. So I just didn't have a valid lap all the time to do 2 out laps to do a hot lap. So I just didn't have a final run at the end on the inters, which is why I started. Yeah.
Then, of course, in the race, you started outside the top 10. Looks like you started to make up some ground in the opening stint of the race, but I saw you coming into the pits pretty early for a wing change.
Yeah, no, first corner, there was a little bit of chaos there, almost spun around. And then behind Pantry Star in turn three, I just got caught out a little bit and then slightly outbraked myself and then broke my wing. So I knew 2 stops is slower, but I wasn't going to go anywhere with a broken wing anyway. So I just decided to opt for the clean air and hopefully make a undercut and then could fight at the end again on fresher tires.
But of course,
And yeah, I was happy to get P5. I was expecting maybe a top 10, but the P5 I'll take it, I guess.
I was just about to say, on the upside, you had a really good comeback at the end there, so you still managed to get some points out of it. So
Yeah.
not a total disaster. And then who's the last one in here? We've got Wheeze. Wheeze, sorry I've made you wait till the end, but
No, good.
were you happy with that?
Yeah, I don't think you can really get much more than P1.
Fastest lap, maybe.
Nah.
Who got the
I gave it
fastest
to
lap at the end
Pantry.
there? I actually forgot. I read it not
Yeah,
so long
Pantry
ago.
Star.
was
Pantry,
on
Pantry
the
Pantry
starts,
Star.
eh?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was obviously you big Wheeze. You started in P2, am I correct, or did you start from pole?
No, P2. Yeah.
You started from P2 and then obviously went on to win the race. Looked like Jonas had the pace to stay with you in the opening laps, and then you started to open up a gap on him, and obviously Spikes went on to pass him too. But in the opening stages, it looked like there was going to be a tighter race than what it was at the end.
Yeah, he had a little snap, I think, on lap 2, and then I don't know. Once you're out of DRS, it's pretty hard to catch up again.
So it was a great race. How many? Well, I've got you here. I'm going to ask you one by one. That how many of you? There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. What is your opinion on the 10-second penalty for Oscar Piastri? Just a quick yes no. Big T, would you
I
say
believe he
that
deserves a penalty, but not 10 seconds.
you would say it's a penalty but not 10 seconds? Andre,
Yeah, I'd say 5 seconds. 10 was a bit much, and
Spikes?
it could have changed the whole outcome of the race because
Oh, definitely. It could have,
Piastri could have put Lando under pressure.
because I think at the end that gap was 5 or 6 seconds, so it would have been
Came down to 4, yeah.
would have been a very, very close. What about Wheeze and Spikes? What did you think of that penalty?
Yes, for the penalty. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yes, for the
So yeah,
penalty.
just yes. Just a yes.
Just a yes. Of course, I'm a Max fan, so I kind of said penalty before the commentators announced it. But I do think the 10 seconds was a little bit harsh. Had it been a 5 second, we could have had a different race winner. But regardless, well done to Lando Norris winning his home Grand Prix. It's quite a big deal. That's 2 Grand Prix in a row now, and the championship has come down to 7 points, I believe. So thank you to everybody who joined us for the stream, everyone who watched, everyone who was here even before the stream started. And of course, to all the drivers, I hope you enjoyed the British Grand Prix, and I hope you enjoyed your very own British Grand Prix. And thanks for joining us here in the cool down room. Of course, you guys can stay here for another minute or so. I'm just going to say goodbye to the YouTube viewers. So to everyone who watched, thank you very much. I hope to see you on Tuesday at 8 p.m. We do it all again at the British Grand Prix. So until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, cheers.
Under neon lights and engine screams, she's the guardian of our speed-filled dreams. With skull and flight and alien on the chase, She's the calm in the storm, our guiding grace. Andre by her side, loyal and strong. Their love's been racing all along. But it's the brotherhood she holds so near. With every lap she makes it clear. Oh, Death Queen, heart of the grid. With every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream. Oh, Death Queen, in shadows and gleam, you are the queen of our sim racing team. Trophies shine, but not like her pride. Watching Skull and Andre glide. She's there in silence, she's there in roar. In every circuit, every lore. From midnight spins to dawn's first light, she's always there holding us tight. No crash too deep, no curve too wide. With her in spirit, we rise, we ride. Oh, Death Queen, heart of the grid. With every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream. Oh, Death Queen, in shadows and gleam, you are the queen of our sim racing team. Just a fan, she's legacy born. Through every F1 storm we wore. Holding the line, fierce and unseen. Forever our monarch, our Death Queen. Oh, Death Queen, heart of the grid. With every cheer she lifts the lid on fears, on doubt she tears through night. Her voice, our fuel, our fearless light. From cockpit to coach she stands supreme, a true believer in the brotherhood dream.
I am stupid. I am stupid. I switch off
You are
everything.
the queen of our sim racing team. Yeah, oh, Death Queen, you are the queen of our sim racing team.
Max the Maverick.
He rolls to the grid, eye sharp as a blade. A storm in the cockpit, never afraid. Teammates tremble, they can't keep pace. Max takes the wheel, owns every race. From car to crown, he carved his way. A predator born to slay the day. The records fall, the doubters fade. A legend's forged, the price is paid.
Max Verstappen, king of the fight. Burning the track in the dead of night. Outruns the pack, leaves them behind. Fastest heart with a mastermind. Not the quickest car, but he still shines. Bends the rules, rewrites the lines. Max Verstappen, hear the roar. The champ who always begs for more.
Our bond, they tried their best, but Max just laughs, aces the test. He dances through corners, a devil's art. Tears up the field, rips it apart. Red Bull's wings, they used to soar. Now it's Max who evens the score. The car's not primed, the rivals grin, but he still finds a way to win.
Max Verstappen, king of the fight. Burning the track in the dead of night. Outruns the pack, leaves them behind. Fastest heart with a mastermind. Not the quickest car, but he still shines. Bends the rules, rewrites the lines. Max Verstappen, hear the roar. The champ who always begs for more.
I am stupid. I am stupid. I switch off every